What's up, guys? Welcome back to MMA Prophecies, where I go over UFC fight predictions and betting tips every single day. So hit that like and subscribe button. Today I'm going to go over Roman Dolidze versus Nassourdine Imavov. This is going to be a 5-round fight next Saturday. And so, I'm just going to go over the strengths, notables, stylistic matchups, keys to winning for each fighter, and then I'm going to go over who I think is going to win. So let's start with Roman Dolidze, and let's start with his striking. His striking isn't the best, but he does have, he does hit really hard. He primarily uses hooks, and he doesn't throw a ton. Although he did throw more in that last fight versus Marvin Vettori, he did basically have to take that second round off because he went so hard in that first round to try and finish him. So not the most technical. Wrestling wise, not very good at setting up takedowns, right? He doesn't have great wrestling. It's almost at 50%, and that's not good. Especially if you're a submission artist, you really need to be able to chain your takedowns. That being said, when people are dumb enough to take it to the ground with him, or if he does pull guard, he actually has exceptional submissions off of his back. We saw that versus Jack Hermanson. He got him in a calf slicer and then basically just pounded him out. I think he basically tore Phil Haas's knee, and then he was able to punch him and knee him and basically put him out. So he's very good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And yeah, he's very, very strong, very powerful, and has good pressure. We saw that in his last fight versus Marvin Vettori. But his striking defense isn't the best, right? It's kind of below average. He's not that good at moving his head, versus oncoming punches. Not very good at dodging kicks. He got leg kicked a ton versus Marvin. But he does have a decent chin, right? Although he does get affected when he gets hit, his cardio tends to go down, so that's not a good sign. The competition he's fought, decent competition. Jack Hermanson was definitely a quality win, and he gave Marvin Vettori a really good fight. He almost won that fight. That would have been very impressive had he won that, but Marvin just came through in that last round. Ended up landing the cleaner strikes. Ring rust, there probably shouldn't be that much ring rust. He hasn't really fought in a year, so he may have a little bit more ring rust than Nassourdine. In terms of the matchup, Hermanson was somewhat similar to Nassourdine. Not really, though, because Hermanson is more of a heavy Muay Thai stand there and trade base. Marvin Vettori does like to move around, primarily boxing, does mix in some kicking, but that being said, I think Imavov is going to be one of his harder matchups, right? Because Marvin's defense and movement isn't as good as Imavov's or Jack Hermanson, okay? Keys to winning, I think he has to pressure Imavov tremendously. I think he's got to get off to a really good start. I think he's got to try and win at least 3 rounds or try to get it to the ground. And that being said, I think, it's going to be tough to do because he's going to have to manage his tank very well. Notables, he's actually lost 2 out of 4 times that it went to decision. Every other time, he's either gotten the finish. He doesn't really have any stand-up TKOs. Jack Hermanson, he grounded pounded him. Phil Haas, his leg was already torn, so he was able to just kind of put him out on the feet, right? And those 2 times that he did win, those guys aren't even in the UFC anymore, and he won a split decision. Okay, so that's definitely notable there. Now let's go to Imavov. Striking, very light on his feet, fast straight punches, good elbows, teeps, mixes in some knees. Wrestling, he's actually shown that he's gotten much better at wrestling. I guess he's been, working on that. He was able to take Chris Curtis down for the I mean, that was the first time ever anyone's ever taken him down. He also has good takedown defense, around 72% takedown defense. His cardio, overall, it's been good so far, especially in regular 3-round fights. He did get a little bit tired in that 4th round versus Sean Strickland, but in the 5th round, he definitely upped the volume. And he does manage his energy levels well. His chin and defense, he does have a good chin, and he does roll with punches well. So he's been tested by power punchers too. And rolling with punches is going to really help him versus Roman, in my opinion. Like I said, good takedown defense, 72%. Submissions, never submitted anyone, but he showed he has some. I mean, in the UFC, he's never submitted anyone in the UFC, but before that, he has 4 submissions. But obviously, he's going to be good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Never being submitted. Also, having better wrestling right now. His strength overall, he's got good, solid technical strikes. He could definitely lay it on you, and he does that with his volume and his technique and accuracy. Competition, he's faced good competition, and he's been consistent, right? Sean Strickland, he looks really good versus Chris Curtis for the 2 rounds that he fought. I think he was definitely winning that fight. Ring rust a little over 6 months, so he's going to have a little less ring rust than Roman. Similar previous matchups that might be similar to Roman will be Sean Strickland was one of the taller guys that he's fought. He did have trouble with Sean's pressure early on. And his keys to winning versus Roman is definitely going to be to keep it on the outside and use his counters. Avoid going to the ground and avoid heavy strikes. Other notables, Imavov was last submitted 7 years ago and has never been KO'd. So, my conclusion here, Imavov should definitely have the cardio and technical advantage, whereas Roman has the power and submission advantage. But I just said that Imavov has never been submitted and he's never been KO'd. Right? And then Roman, the last times he's went to a decision, he's either lost or won versus guys who aren't even in the UFC anymore. So I think the power will slowly go down for Roman over the course of the 5-round fight. And he also doesn't have great takedowns, as we can see. So I don't think he's suddenly going to turn into a great wrestler or great MMA wrestler all of a sudden. At least not good enough to take someone as good as Imavov down. Imavov has good takedowns as well. He has good takedown defense. He's also experienced a 5-round fight, unlike Roman. And Imavov's, most of Imavov's fight have actually gone past 2 rounds. Whereas Roman just barely went the distance, or finally went the distance with Marvin, and he looked tired. He looked tired in that 2nd and 3rd round. And so I think Imavov is definitely going to be good enough to stop the wrestling, or at least be able to get up quickly. And I also think he has a good enough chin, cardio, and striking defense to withstand Roman's early power. Imavov also has good pressure when he senses weakness, which I think will happen when Roman starts to tire after that 1st or 2nd round. So Dolidze will not only have to manage his gas tank perfectly, but he's also going to have to pressure and try to hurt Imavov without tiring and without taking too many shots, which in my opinion is going to be way more difficult to do. Whereas Imavov pretty much just needs to stay on the outside, avoid those big hooks, which I think he's going to be prepared against. Stop the takedowns, which I don't think is going to be too difficult for him, and mainly counter in that 1st and 2 rounds. And then I think he's really going to lay it on Roman in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. So I do think this matchup heavily favors Imavov. Imavov is a minus 155 favorite. Makes sense, probably because of everything I'm telling you guys. So I'm actually going to take Imavov here, minus 155. This is not financial advice. The only problem I can potentially see again, Dolidze has power, probably more power than, and he's just as big as Imavov. So Imavov's never really fought anyone exactly like Dolidze or super similar, although he did fight Joaquin Buckley, who is smaller and does have power. He did fight Sean Strickland, who's almost just as big as Dolidze, but Strickland has a major technical advantage. So we'll see, right? But I'm gonna say that Imavov wins this fight, and that is my prediction. All right, so hopefully you guys like this video. If you guys did like it, hit that like and subscribe button for more UFC fight predictions in the future. Let me know what you guys think. All right, peace out, you guys.